Hey everyone, so I'm excited to announce that I'm going to be doing a lot more haircut tutorials. I know it's been a while since I've done a lot of those and you love them, so I'm going back to doing a lot of haircut tutorials and have some exciting news about launching some online courses. Some online courses that are going to really help professionals out there. So what I'm doing today is I'm going to be doing a haircut that I think is going to be very, very good for short hair. I know a lot of people are so gung-ho and focused on growing their hair out, but there's also a lot of people who like short hair, okay? So I would say this hair type in particular, it's on the finer side, however there's a lot of it. It is human hair, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to blend a #1 guard all the way up into about right here. We're gonna do somewhat of a lower type of taper, and we're gonna do a lot of scissor work in through here. So this is really great if you're, cutting hair at home, or you're a hairstylist, or new into, men's haircuts, or even short haircuts in general. So let's get into it, right? So this is what I use as far as clippers go. I use this is the wall clipper. It's the 100-year edition, all right? And I also have the attachments, the magnetic attachments, or I would say not magnetic, but they're like the metal ones. That's what they're called, the metal ones. I have, the one all the way up through a #8. Now I do have this in my affiliate link below on my Amazon store of what I do use on Amazon. So I use all these. I also would suggest, this is separate, is getting the #1.5 guard. There we go. The 1.5 guard, as you can see right here. And I think it's something that you need because they go from a 1 to a 2. There's a bit of a gap. So the 1.5 will really help. So we're starting with the #1. And the key to this is to just really find and pick where your baseline is going to be. And what do I mean by that is this has to be connected into the sides, don't forget. So when I'm doing these types of haircuts, I always like to, and I'm one of those people who does it this way, is I work from the bottom up. I know there are professionals out there that work from the top down. I personally can't work that way because I feel like I'm building the foundation better this way, all right? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to comb this down, and notice the most important thing is I'm working on dry hair, right? I'm not wetting this down. I know there's a lot of professionals who like to wet the hair down when they're using clippers, and that's an absolute no-no. You want to, in my opinion, you want the hair to be dry when you're using clippers. And that just gives you the truest result, in my opinion, as far as getting the, it's just a clipper will not glide through the hair when it's wet. So another thing that I'm doing, if you notice, is I'm pushing the hair downwards into this. And what that does is it helps stamp in that line of demarcation that you need to really help you go from blend to blend. And I think that's really, really important. So now what I'm doing is I'm connecting this into the back, and I am going to follow the head shape or the occipital bone, or where this rounds out here in the back. So it will dip a little bit down in through here. And that's totally fine because, again, we are adjusting to the roundness or the occipital bone in the back. So now I know that sometimes when you're cutting hair and the client will see this, they'll say, wait, why am I looking like a mushroom? And that's where you have to explain to them that, hey, look, I'm going to blend this all in. Don't worry about it. I know you're probably freaking out right now, but not to worry. This is all going to be blended in. All right, so you can ease them of their fears and from freaking out, all right? So now I'm just working this up into this area right into here to make sure I have a nice connection going all the way throughout here into the back here. And again, it's not blended yet, but this is the baseline. All right, next, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to use my #2 guard. So we're jumping right to the 2 guard, not the 1.5 yet, but the #2 guard right into here. So you'll be able to see, the light is reflecting on it so badly, but we're going with the #2 guard, okay? And now, once again, I'm gonna keep this fairly low, but I'm gonna give myself enough room to be able to, have that connection and blend it right into here. Also make sure that you're pushing hair out of the way that you don't wanna cut. It's also very, very important because I think a lot of times people may end up cutting hair that is part of another area or section, and you don't really wanna do that, all right? So push this hair out of the way. And once again, while it's dry, that's why I think it's easiest to work on the hair while it's dry, because you can do that a little bit easier. So now I'm starting to work my way upwards with the number 2 guard, and you see I'm lifting and I'm keeping a continuous motion like this with the clippers. All right, I'm keeping a continuous motion with the clippers. I'm not really stopping, and I'm trying to really work this all in and keep the flow going. All right, we got to keep this flow going here. Now this is where it gets tricky for some people, but there's nothing wrong with saying, okay, well maybe I need to take a little more time right in this section right here and not go so fast, and that's totally okay. So you will see a little bit of a slight line of demarcation there. That's just because the 1 into the 2, like I mentioned, is not really going to blend as much. And I know you could use the 1 and then raise the lever and stuff like that, but I'm going to be doing it this way instead. Now for this part, I am going to be using the same number 2 guard. However, I'm just going to be raising the lever right here. So this is the shortest. When you push down, see how it makes the blade go up like that? So now it's going to be a little bit longer. So it's like, consider this like a 2.5. And this is where like the blending, this is where everything starts to really come into play. Keep in mind, we're also following the head shape and also following the style itself. All right? Because I'm trying to also keep in mind, I do want to leave this front a bit longer into here. So we are going to have to work our way into this at some point. But now what we're doing is really just establishing the foundation. Depending on your hair type, especially if you have a cowlick or hair that sticks up, you have to really start to pay attention to that, because you may need to cut the hair shorter in some areas, or you may need to leave it a bit longer. So it really is important when you're cutting hair. I always say that it's best to leave the hair a bit shorter in those areas where you think it may stick up, because that's just going to help the situation by cutting it short enough so it's not going to stick out. If it's not short enough, that's where the hair starts to stick out on the head, and that next thing you know, within 3 days, it's like a porcupine, right? All right, now I've switched to a number 3 guard, and really what I'm doing now, and I move the lever back down so it's at its shortest with the 3 guard, and now this is where I'm starting to really have a softer touch and a little more finesse, because what we're doing is we're going from the 2 into the 3, and remember, I want to leave a little bit of length on top. So what I'm trying to do is build like a nice soft taper that blends into the top, where we're going to have a little bit of length. Okay, so here again, always be combing, ABC, always be combing. You want to make sure that the hair is falling in its most natural state. Once again, that's why I do this on dry hair. Let's push this hair out of the way a bit, and we're going to raise this up a little bit right in through here, because we are working up in those temple areas. And once again, I'm flicking. You see, I'm kind of flicking upwards a bit. And that's just going to help kind of soften up the cut as well. So you're kind of doing like a light blend while you're doing this. You're just kind of flicking upwards, and that's just softening things up as we're moving upwards. All right, now I'm going to push the lever down, and that's where we're going to start to see, once again, another blend. So I use a lot of guards, right? We're using a lot of the technology of the machine, of the clippers, because that's what it's designed to do. That's what the lever is for, right? So we're working our way upwards, and I'm now pushing the hair from the top into this area right into here. So it gives me a little bit of room to work with scissors. But you can see without this, it's blending in very, very nicely into there. I'm a big scissor-over-comb person as well, so I like to use scissor-over-comb for blending in a lot of these types of haircuts. And look, there's people who just use clipper-over-comb and they blend this, they do this in 3 minutes. I mean, it all depends. It all really, really depends on your skill level and, you know, how comfortable you are with doing that. I personally like this type of method just because I'm able to, you know, focus in on where I'm seeing everything, and I think it's a little bit easier for me. All right, so now, and I always suggest using a towel here because the towel is gonna really help with removing the hair, all right? Right, so now I'm going back to my number 1 guard and I'm going to push the lever down or away from you, and that's gonna raise it to like almost like a 1.5, almost. All right, so here we go. We're gonna blend this part in right here. You can see that's where we were before. And I'm just doing some light flicking right into this area here. And that's just gonna give that one little area a softer blend right here. So that's where you have to be a little more creative with this stuff, is you have to really focus and hone in on, like, you know, what you're trying to do and where you need to use the proper tools. Now we're just gonna go in this way, and there it is. And I am slightly angling the clipper a bit upwards, right through here. But what this is doing is really just eliminating that line of demarcation here and giving us a nice blend, okay? All right, so now we're working into the other side, and you know, so I'm gonna go from this to the 1.5 guard. Just to blend it even a bit more. But you see, I'm constantly working the clippers. You want to always be working those clippers to the point where, you know, you're really softening everything up here. So here's the 1.5, and this is where I go in just right above that here and really just start to flick this, and almost it's going to go into the number 2 a little bit as well. But it's really going to give it a really nice blend and even enhance that taper a bit more, as you can see through here. All right, so now we're going to go back here in the back of the head. Now I'm working that in where I just did with the 1 into the 1.5, and I'm just working up the head shape. Now, because this is a mannequin head, just keep in mind that sometimes the way the hair is stitched, it may not look as perfect as it should. But again, that comes down to the stitching of the hair itself into the head. So it may be stitched, you know, straight across. So you may see a line because of that. So just to keep that like in through, down and through here. All right, so now I'm just gonna put some finishing touches on this. And this is where you can really go nuts and be like a super perfectionist and, you know, really like sit there all day and try to perfect this. And yes, you wanna make a good clean blend. And that's where you may have to go back in with the number 1, right? You start to find areas where you think, you know, maybe it's just a little bit of a 1 that's not, you know, all the way open or all the way closed. Like you're making your own number almost. If you see something that needs to be a little bit more tidied up. And that's the whole art of this whole thing, is being that perfectionist. Right? Being that perfectionist is really going to set you apart from everyone else. All right, so now, let's see here. Yeah, see, I can see this right away because of, I think because of the lighting. But I need to go in a little bit shorter right in through here. All right. I can see that one right there. Awesome. Okay, now it's time to do some scissor over comb work. And again, the whole point of this haircut is to have a softer kind of textured top in through here without it like being super, super short. Because again, the flow into the top here is what's trending and what's big right now. But here is where I'm gonna make sure that the hair is fully combed, right? We're gonna comb this hair all out to make sure there's no knots. See, there's some knots right there. And you wanna see these lines. Like this is what you wanna see, this line of demarcation, so that when you cut it, you can actually blend it and fade it in. Okay, so I pick a spot wherever I wanna start, and I just start going to town here. So let's turn this head a little bit more this way. And what I'm doing is I'm just laying the comb flat, and I'm just working the comb upwards with the scissor. And I'm trying to really just move the thumb as much as I can to really have a nice soft blend. And this is where you can really, really soften everything up. Even if there's a little bit of a line somewhere, you can go in with the scissors here and really soften the whole haircut up. And this is the art of blending to me. This is really the putting the icing on the cake as compared to a lot of professionals maybe who aren't using scissors and their scissor work isn't as great. But you can see what it's doing through here. It's just softening up so nicely and creating such a nice textured blend. And I think that's what people are looking for in today's modern haircuts. And I also feel that not everything is about having a skin fade, and I think people are looking for more options. So here what I'm doing is I'm lifting and combing the hair out to where I can really see that line, and I'm even going to go in down and through here. And if I see any sort of things that need to be touched up, I'm going to do it right in through here. Now I'm using the wider teeth of the comb, and what that's doing is it's allowing me just to get a different perspective and give it a little bit of a softer blend. All right, you can use the wide teeth, the fine teeth like this, and that's really good for like if you have an area that really, really needs some like fine tuning and super tight blending, which is what I'm doing it through here. So just be careful that with the fine teeth, you're gonna see a lot more. You're gonna be cutting more hair. So just keep that in mind and be careful when you're doing this, because once again, this is not as forgiving with the fine teeth. That's why a lot of times I'll go in and use the wide teeth on this comb. Now these are combs that I do sell on my website, shop.thesalonguy.com. These are what I cut with. So I'm selling these on my website. I have them in red and also in white. So I've got two versions of them. And these are my scissors that I do sell. It has my Salon Guy logo on it right there, as you can see. All for a fairly reasonable price. And there we go. So now we're working into the other side. And here, I am taking it into consideration and looking at the previous parts that I did cut. And why am I doing that? Because, that's the thing about being a perfectionist and going that extra mile is really, really, really putting the icing on the cake. So I'll go even way down into here even, and I'll probably end up switching to the wide teeth, the fine teeth. But here is where we're going to start to kind of cut some of this into the top right there. But this is where all the hair from before is now hanging down over this. And this is where we have to start to blend everything in. So there is the section from before, and now we're just gonna be cutting all that, right? When in doubt, cut it out. So you're gonna be lifting and looking for that line underneath, and then this is where you start to cut to remove that. And you always, again, doing this at home, because I know a lot of you that are gonna be watching this are gonna attempt this haircut at home. This is, I'm a professional that I've been cutting hair for a very long time, and I learned all this stuff after many, many years of practice, and a lot of it comes down to skill. So I think a lot of you that are trying to cut hair at home and attempting this, if you get it in one shot, then good for you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm happy that I can convey the information in a way that it's easier for you to learn. That's amazing. However, if you attempt this and the results aren't what you hoped or expected, then that simply is because it's not, you know, the easiest to do right off the bat. It's taken a long time, so you may need some practice, you know? Like doing this on yourself is almost next to impossible, what I'm doing right here. That's my whole point, is just be careful and realize that, like, hey, this is not the easiest to do right off the bat. This stuff in here in particular is a bit more advanced as well, okay? Definitely a bit more advanced. So again, what I'm doing is I'm just lifting and looking to see any sort of, you know, pieces of hair that need to be blended a little bit better, softened a little bit better, all that stuff. Now again, there are people who have a completely different approach to this, and that's totally fine. That's on them. Some people may just use clippers on this entire haircut and they're done in 5 minutes and you're in and out the door. That's okay. I am not a barber. I'm a hairstylist, and I have a very different approach to how I cut hair. I never booked people for 15, 20 minutes. I always booked for an hour for my haircuts, but also my price point was at a much higher premium than, like I said, if you're going into just a random barber shop or something. So what I'm doing here is I'm really trying to create that nice connection and that flow going from here into the top. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start to create and blend in the top, right? And how do we blend in the top? Well, we're going to do this all again by scissors. This is where the layering comes in. So this whole entire thing is going to be layered, and it's also going to help soften up some of that weight in through here. Now also, this is blonde hair, obviously, so it's a little bit harder sometimes to even see that. So this is actually harder to blend in than if the hair was a lot darker, in my opinion, all right? So what we're going to do is we are going to spray this down right in through here. And again, this is very important. You know, this is the one time where I say it's okay to use water on the head, because we're working throughout the top now. All right, we're working throughout the top, and I think it's a good time to spray this down. Now, I'm not going to have someone go over to the sink area. You know, I'm not going to have, you know, shampooed. I'm going to spray some 25 spray on, because 25 spray is great for detangling. Right here, my 25 spray. It's great for detangling, and it smells so good. And it's an amazing cutting lotion as well. So it really, as you can see now, goes right through the knots. So if you've got short hair, if you're a professional, a barber, you know, or just a consumer purchasing products, this is really an amazing product, because it does help get rid of a lot of the knots when you comb through it. So I highly suggest it. So now, what do we do with this area in through here? Well, our main goal right now is to blend and soften this area right here. So let's cut this. I'm going to comb this straight out from the head. There's the guide from underneath right here. And I'm holding this straight out from the head. It's very important that you realize that I'm combing this straight out from the head like so, because I'm following the head shape, right? And then what I like to do afterwards is I will go back in and make any sort of, you know, blends or tweaks to what I need to. But right now I'm cutting everything horizontally, and then what it allows me to do is to go back and make that soft little blend right there. Whatever's needed from this point on, it's really going to be helpful. So because this technique and this method is the best way, I think, to start to blend this into the top. You can't just take hair on top and start cutting, because what that's going to do, it's going to create a harsh line in the hair. And this particular method, what this does is it helps follow the head shape a bit more. Now, as you cut each section moving forward, that hair is going to lay on top of it, creating a little bit of a line or line of demarcation there. And all we're doing now is following the head shape to cut it, and that's what's going to help remove it. That's why I use this technique. So there it is, comb it straight up, and we're gonna follow the head shape, right? So, here we go. And I'm standing in the same exact spot, to be honest with you. I'm standing in the same exact spot. I'm not moving. I'm not changing anything with my body position. I've been in the same spot for like quite some time. So here we go. Comb it straight out, and I'm cutting, following the roundness and the way the hair grows right through here. So I always say you've got the top, the corners, and the sides. So what we're doing now is cutting this part, and now we're ready to move into the top because we did blend everything. So now we could take a horizontal section right here and cut the entire top. All right, so I'm gonna stand a little bit out of the way so you can see. And I'm cutting to match the guide from the back. Now this all depends on you. How short do you want to go with your hair? Okay, I am going fairly short, but I'm also still leaving some length. So I'm cutting about a ½ inch off of length, but I'm leaving the hair on the top of the head to where it's probably about 2½ inches or 2 to 2½ inches. Okay, no more than that. Because I'm gonna go for more of a tousled, kind of spiked, textured look. So now we're working, I call this the mohawk section, all the way down the middle of the head this way, towards the front. And you're gonna get to the front here, and you're gonna see the guide from the previous section. And most of the times you're gonna have to come in a little more this way in the front, comb it forward a bit actually, and push away from you. And that's gonna help really showcase the length that needs to be cut. Because pulling everything back over directs it, and that just makes it a little bit longer. Okay, so we've got the middle part down, and now we have to work into the corners and the sides. And that's where everything into here is gonna start to really work into itself, and you're gonna see everything coming together. So right now, you could see that right here needs a bit more softening, and that's where the layering process, what I'm gonna do right now, is gonna really come into play. All right, so we're gonna start with the corner, and the corner is the roundness of the head. And there's that corner right there, as you can see. I personally cut hair in a more rounded shape as opposed to square. I know a lot of people, like, especially with men, they think cutting square is best. I'm more about how the haircut grows out, because I know if you're cutting too much of a certain shape, once it hits a certain grow out process, it just starts to look like really awkward and bad, and the hair doesn't lay properly. My goal is to extend the life of the haircut, and that's what I do. And I've been known for that with my clients over the years. Okay, so here we go once again into the corner. Now we're starting to creep into the sides, which is this area into here. Technically, this was the sides with the clippers, but this is where I'm really starting to hone in everything. And I'm gonna actually change my body position a little bit to give myself a different perspective. There's nothing wrong with moving around, right? Moving around the head and seeing what's happening. Because right now, I'm looking for a reaction. I'm looking for the hair to react a certain way. Okay, so if I see it and I want to get rid of it, I'm doing it right then and there. So see, I'm going to say, all right, well, I see this part needs a little bit more softening, and so I'm going to change to scissor-over-comb, and I'm just going to work this up this way, right? I'm checking for the balance. I'm starting to comb it in a variety of different ways, and there you go. So I'm creating a nice soft flow into here. Now let's do the other side. The other side, you can literally stand in the same spot, right? And you just change the position of the client, you know, which I've always done. I'm not one of those hair cutters who throws my arm over this way, and next thing you know, I've got, you know, I'm needing back surgery because of my bad body positioning when cutting hair. I think it's important that you stay in a position that is going to be best for you and for your body and your haircut as well. All right. Always have a towel handy. because you want to wipe off the hair off your hands, off the client's face. You know, I think it's very important to do that. All right, so once again, I see something and I don't like it, so I get rid of it. So right there was a, you know, kind of a chunk of hair that I needed to start to connect better in through the style. So I cut it. All right, so now the sides right in through here, these little piece, that little section right there really is important, because this is what's connecting everything. So the more you focus on all this stuff, every little hair matters, every little piece counts. That's the difference between a good solid quality haircut and then going in and getting, you know, a haircut that is gonna last you maybe a week and it's gonna grow out bad. My goal, even with shorter haircuts, was to make it last, I would say, at least a week, 2 to 3 weeks, even longer for these types of haircuts. And trust me, I'm only saying that, I'm not making this up, I'm saying that because I've cut thousands of heads over the years, thousands. All right, here we go. So now it's time to work in the top front, which is this area right into here. And this is where I start to really comb and manipulate the hair and look for things that I don't like, or look for things that need to be a bit shorter and all that kind of stuff. So what I'm gonna do for the front is, again, we're going for a little bit of a longer look in the front, but nothing like ridiculously unbalanced. So I'm gonna hold this straight down like that, and just keep in mind, there's that little corner right there. Just keep in mind that the hair, you know, may spring up a bit. So we have to make sure that we're keeping everything fairly balanced. Okay, we don't want to cut the hair to where it's really short up to here, and when you blow dry it back, this part is longer. So how do we check this, and what do we do? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually cut vertically once again. So I'm combing this. There's that little piece of weight right there. You saw it. There's that weight. So here is a great way to check the balance and to remove that excess weight right in the very front here. Trust me, if it doesn't need to be there, then get rid of it. I always say that with hair. You don't need it. It's just going to add issues. It's going to not make the hair lay properly. But see, what I'm doing is I'm holding up everything vertically, and not only am I cross-checking this, but I'm also, you know, cutting some hair that needs to be cut off, right? I'm cutting some excess length that I think needs to be a bit shorter. So I'm going to over-direct everything over this way. I'm going to really test this haircut, right? When I say test this, I'm looking for things to make it not look right. This way I can go in and make it look the best I possibly can. That's what's important. That's the difference right there. Trying to make it look bad, and then when it does look bad, you fix it. That's you know, again, I have a whole different approach to haircutting, and that's what I think has gotten me success in my career as a professional, and making thousands of clients happy over the years, is taking this extra time to do it. Now, is this going to be for everyone? Is it taking a little bit longer because I'm talking? Yes. However, I'm a perfectionist. All right, so now what we're going to do is blow dry this hair. So this is my blow dryer right here. Shop.TheSalonGuy.com. Use code YouTube20 for 20% off. It has the ionic technology, and what I'm going to do is blow dry this, and then we're going to go back in and even cut more. All right. So what I like to do, I'll put this on a lower speed. What I like to do when I'm blow drying is I actually blow dry in the direction of the haircut. So I'm blow drying this downwards like this. And if you do the opposite, what's going to happen is you're going to start to really mess up the entire haircut. You're going to make areas stick up that shouldn't be sticking up. Okay? So I'm just really light. And this is a great way if you're looking to kind of make the hair lay down a bit flatter. If you blow dry it this way in the direction that it grows or the way you cut it, that's really going to help make the hair lay a bit flatter. Okay? All right, so let's look at this haircut now. I'm not even done, right? I'm about 80% done with this haircut. I still have a lot more work to do. So what I do want to show you, however, is this is the result of, you can see all this texture in the hair right here, the balance, right? Look at how that blends in and flows in, okay? I'm still gonna soften this up a bit right now, but the key is that you can see all this in through here, right? It's got such a nice flow, and the haircut on top is very, very balanced. You can wear it down, you can toss it all up, but this is what creating a balanced haircut is all about, right? It's gonna grow out so nice because of how I shaped this whole thing, right? Now let's use a thinning shear. And this is where the magic happens. This is where all the fun begins. And the thinning shear, which is the shear that has, you know, the different teeth on it like this, what that does is it softens and blends everything in. So what I'm doing is I'm combing the hair downwards. I want to comb this down. I want to make harsh lines. I want to be able to see stuff that I don't like so I can fix it. All right, so this right here is a little bit heavy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the thinning shear, and I'm going to soften that whole thing right up. Okay, and I'm also going to use the thinning shear down and through here. Let's use scissor-over-comb to blend this all in, right in through this area here. And the thinning shear is really amazing. Again, only use this on dry hair. Okay, that's the best way to see the results of the haircut is on dry hair, and this is the best way to remove the weight or any sort of lines or anything like that is on dry hair with this, and also with scissor-over-comb as well, okay? But you can see what that's doing. It's softening up this whole bit in through here. You can even do some point cutting. Again, keep in mind this is the mannequin head, so it's the way it's stitched could be a little bit different. So here I can see some areas that are inconsistent a bit. So this is where I go with the tools that I have, and you can also feel it when you're cutting hair like this, and it's a bit heavier in some areas. You can actually feel it when you're chomping down on it, and it's like, whoa. So, if there's an area that needs a bit more love than other areas, it's gonna really stand out, and you can see already how much that's softening and helping the entire haircut. Now these are techniques, and I'm gonna be doing some online seminars, some online courses that are gonna really feature a lot of these types of things. I'm just giving you kind of a sneak peek of what's to come. So if you're a hairstylist, and even if you're not a hairstylist, I mean, anyone can do this, but I'm gonna be creating online courses explaining how to cut hair in depth like this, a lot of tricks, a lot of things that I've learned over the years. So if you're looking to improve your skills in a variety of different ways, you're gonna be able to purchase and take an online seminar. And also, one of the most asked questions that I get, and a lot of it's not even public, it's more emails and things from my website, who can cut hair like you in, Texas or in Florida or California? So what I'm gonna be doing is offering a certification. So if you pass, and go through my online seminar and, finish the certification, you will be Salon Guy approved as a professional, which means I can then refer clients to you. Because, again, everyone is asking, who cuts hair like you, Salon Guy? Who cuts hair? I can't find anybody. Who have you trained in this state? Who have you trained in that state? I'm like, I haven't trained anybody. I have no idea. So this is going to be a benefit to all of you if you're a professional to sign up for something like this. And I'm going to be working very hard on this. I'd say probably within another maybe week, it'll be up and running. I'll be posting a lot of content about how you can take these seminars and courses. So I'm really excited about that, especially for 2024. I'm shifting some gears in my business, focusing again on my hair products, focusing on creating valuable education. And I'm also still going to be doing my videos here on YouTube, TikTok, all that stuff. All right, so we are working in through the top. And look how much better that looks. It just softened everything up. So we still have lots of work to do throughout the top here. And what I'm going to do is as I work upwards, I'm feeling with the comb the thickness right? I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, look at all that hair that's coming off, because that's just a lot of excess weight that doesn't need to be in the hair. Okay, so now I'm going to take the hair and do some twists, twist and chomp. That's my favorite thing, is twist and chomp. So I'm looking for excess weight there. I'm looking to feel for where the hair is really, really thick in some areas. And I'm going in, twisting and chomping in with the thinning shears. Just be careful. Obviously, do not chomp down on your finger, because you will lose a finger. So be very, very careful when doing this. You want to twist, stand clear with your finger, and cut. So twist, release, and cut. Because the last thing, the more experience you get with this, obviously, and you will see a ton of hair flying off, okay? But the more experience you get with this, the easier it's going to be for you, and you're going to feel a lot more confident as you do this. So, this is just, again, adding texture to the hair, softening it up a bit, and look what it's doing throughout the top and the front. It's just really adding that extra layer of awesomeness. Lastly, my actual hair cutting shears. All right, this is the one where I just go freehand on this. I go and I just start point cutting, and I pull the hair away, and this is do it at your own risk again. Something I only advise if you're experienced doing this and you feel comfortable. But what I'm looking for is weight. I'm looking for things that I can soften up a bit. I'm looking for things that I can add texture to, especially in this kind of back area in through here. Yeah, so now what I'll do is I'll do a final blow dry to get all the hair off of me, and also all the hair out of the head, because we did cut a lot of hair from this mannequin. So because of that, it's going to have hair all over the place. We took out chunks and chunks and chunks of hair, so we're going to see hair flying everywhere. All right, this is with no product, as you can see, and let's just get a little bit closer here. But this whole haircut here has been done with, I didn't use any styling products, to be honest with you. So what we're gonna do is turn this slowly. You can see a beautiful taper in through here, very, very, very soft blend, and this is, I think, is what makes the difference. So going into the back here, if you have a calic right here, then the way I cut this, you can lay that right down like that, and you're gonna have no problems. You can see how just nicely this forms against the head. There it is right there, okay? We're gonna work this in this way, a really, really beautiful taper, and blend in through the top. As I mentioned before, as this grows out, it's gonna grow out so uniformly and so balanced. And that's what I love about this. All right, let's add a little more texture to this front here. I just think it's a little too solid, so I'm just gonna go in and point cut a little bit just to add a little more texture into here, right in the front there. There we go. Perfect. Styling products. What do you want to use? Well, you can use a whole bunch of my products. You can use the talc matte powder. You can use Clutch. You can use the Extreme Hold matte paste. I'm going to use Clutch XL right here. It's a product that I relaunched, and I'm really excited about the relaunch. So I'm going to take a nice scoop like this, work it through my hands like so, and this is a new formula. I had Clutch and then Clutch XL originally, and I said I want to combine the two, and this is the result. So make sure you work it through the hands really, really well, and then you can apply it into the hair like this. And I'm telling you, this goes in so easy. It really adds a lot of great texture. It's kind of a matte wax clay in a sense, so there's some slight waxiness to it. However, it's very, very different than before. It's not going to pull the hair. It's there's a lot more versatility to it. As you can see, it just gives you instant results. So let's move this down a little bit this way. And here is where you can go in and add the little pieces. You can mess with the style a little bit. You can tweak it however you want. It really comes down to you, how you want to style this. But I think the most important part is that this whole thing looks phenomenal, right? So some great texture in through here, and I think this is really an awesome haircut. I'd love to know your feedback. So let's turn this way, right? If you want to have a little more texture, then there you go. Just you just work it in, and you can see because of the haircut, because of how much we spent cutting this and how much effort we put into this, it's really going to help enhance this haircut. Every single piece is going to respond, right? Every single piece is going to respond, right, to what you've done. And this is just me being a Virgo perfectionist, as always. But there it is right there. So everyone, I really hope you enjoyed this. If you are interested in more of these hands-on tutorials, do you miss these haircuts? Then let me know. I'm looking forward to launching my online seminars. Just keep an eye out for that. Use code YouTube20 at shop.thesalonguy.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.